And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Here we are doing another show. It's been, I don't know, roughly a month. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for 2 weeks. There's essentially no news, but I have two stories that I put down there, and then Monday happens, and now it's July 8th, and suddenly there's two more stories that I want to cover. So here we are. What's been going on with me? Well, I have to get my views up on the website. So that's what we're working on. I'm in the middle of a day. I'm on day 8 of post a story about Big Brother a day on this on the website I work for. My muck rack is banging. Look at all those episodes. I call them episodes. Look at all those chickens. The vine. No, look at all the articles I've written. So there you go. I have to tell you, being a freelancer sucks balls. But I did just come back from seeing Jurassic World Rebirth, so at least my day allows for that, and nothing else. What else has been going on? I had an interview. I don't know. I think I talked about this. I had an interview for I'll say the company Local Now. It's a Weather Channel subsidiary. Their version of local news. I had an interview. I did the test. I did talk about the test. Yeah. The person did not get back to me. In fact, they are avoiding me. Oh, but Chad, why don't you email them? Guys, let me tell you, television is not the same as a regular white collar job. Let me tell you that. Pestering people. Hi, I'm really interested in the position. You can't do that. It's very interesting when people this is why I hate talking to people who have never been in this industry, because you can't there's things you just can't do over and over and over again. Oh, I just show up to the office and knock on the door and tell them hello. No, you can't do shit like that. All right, let's move on to the first story. This is a couple of weeks ago, but Warner Bros. Discovery to significantly reduce David Zaslav's annual pay after split. This comes from The Wrap, written by Lucas Manfredi. As we know, their share. So David Zaslav was paid close to $52 million for 2024. Shareholders rejected that pay, and essentially said, "Hey, we're going to come back and make sure that you're not going to make that much money, especially after ruining the company." There's a filing on Monday in June at some point with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. WBD will lower Zaslav's annual cash compensation opportunity and shift the mix in his pay towards long-term incentives. As part of this change, the company will no longer specify performance metric weighting that applies to the annual cash incentive opportunity, annual performance equity awards, or performance periods for the annual performance equity awards. There's a lot of words. That was a lot of words. He was paid basically half cash. I think it was something like $5 million in just like regular, and then he had bonuses that were like $10 million, and then the rest was in incentives and stocks and stuff like that. Zaslav will also receive a one-time inducement designed to, quote, incentivize the successful completion of the separation of stockholder value creation. Additionally, the Compensation Committee also adopted a, quote, double trigger cash severance provision for Zaslav in the event of a change in control transaction. Double trigger cash severance, which means that he can get paid decently if they oust him, I guess. I don't know what these words are. They structured these, according to WBD board chairman Samuel A. D. Piazza Jr., they structured these new compensation packages to, quote, address shareholders' feedback by fostering pay for performance alignment, which is what is needed, ensuring industry standard pay structures, and incentivizing contributions to position the new leading media companies for success and shareholder value creation. So what Piazza Jr. and the rest of the board are basically saying is that they are not tying Zaslav's worth, but his pay to hopefully making Warner Brothers a much more viable company. Something that, even though the company laid off a bunch of people, they canceled a bunch of shows or movie projects, wrote off things, sold things down. He was still paid well, and they're trying to make sure that never happens again. Zaslav, then with the split, he's becoming head of the streaming and studios, the HBO Max, as well as the movies, which are more profitable than the TV stuff and everything else. His contract runs through December 31st, 2030. He will receive a $3 million base salary per year until then, and his annual cash bonus opportunity will be reduced to $6 million, with the actual payout based on the achievement of performance goals set by the compensation committee. So if they hit certain box office numbers, I guess totals, if they hit certain ad revenue shares, I don't know, stuff like that. They're just trying to incentivize this guy to actually do work. The annual bonus payout is the subject of a cap of 200% of the target amount. Let's see. On June 12th, he received a stock option award consisting of 20.8 million shares in the form of 60% performance vesting stock options and 40% time-based stock options. The performance-based options, which are divided into three tranches of 4.1 million shares each, will be based on the following targets being reached by June 12th, 2030. Tranche A. Or tranche. Achievement over a period of 30 consecutive days of a volume-weighted average stock price equal to or exceeding 120% of the exercise price. Oh, so he has to make sure that he'll get paid on one leg by making sure the stock is good for 30 days, over 100, equal to or over 120% of where it is right now. Achievement of a tranche B. Achievement of a volume-weighted average stock price equal to or exceeding 150 of the exercise price, which is $15.24, and tranche C is 165. Wow. Additionally, you receive an option reward. All he has to do is just make sure the company does well. And it seems, at some point, yes, it is really just focusing on the stockholders and people who are getting returns for the company or from the company, on the stock price. But in the end, isn't this really about the people who are watching and watching movies, playing games, watching TV shows, subscribing, because they have to make stuff that people want to go and see. He's no longer going to have a walk-away right, which allows him to voluntarily terminate his employment between 30 and 60 days, following a change of control, and receive substantial severance benefits. Wow, good job for them. You know what? Cut that shit off. Zaslav will continue to be required to hold 1.5 million WBD shares, which means that until the separation and equivalent numbers of shares of streaming and studios following the separation, which means that he can't just sell stocks at the highest price and basically get out. We've seen that happen before where companies or people see what's happening in the horizon and they just get rid of stuff, get rid of the shares. Prior to the separation, Zaslav will be eligible for the same employee benefits that he was entitled to under the prior agreement. Those benefits include 4 weeks of vacation per year, insurance and retirement plans, a car allowance of $1,400 per month, and use of a company-provided or other private aircraft for up to 125 hours of personal use per year. If the separation doesn't occur, those benefits will be available through December 31st, 2027. It feels like they're really holding his feet to the fire to be very cliche with it. I did just get out of a movie where everything was so cliche, but it's very interesting that this is happening right now, where it seems like they've reached the end of their rope. I want to be able to go and to subscribe to HBO Max. I was looking through my email. I want to be able to go through HBO Max and truly just be able to be appreciative of what's there and not have to worry what's going to happen to this show or if something's going to get canceled. I mean, I just looked at, again, I just got a Jurassic World Rebirth. I just left, that movie, and I went, who is this one guy? This guy is the lead to Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, and it's one of the few shows on Netflix that is getting a season 4. So it's what Netflix does right, and I will say this about Disney Plus as well, is that at least they give time for shows to breathe or movies to breathe, and they really get behind things. It's in Hulu too. It's fascinating to me how Max they'll put all of their energy on, a movie that is coming to streaming for the first time, like Sinners, but they don't say anything else about something that releases the same day or even the same week. I'm sure somebody would love to see Companion or On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, but no, they want to, the movies that you've already seen, Minecraft and Sinners, they want to put their hopes behind that. Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. I watched that last night. It was so fun, but I completely forgot it came out because it was eclipsed by Sinners. They just renewed Smiling Friends for 2 seasons. Why isn't Smiling Friends on the front page? They have the authority to do this. Anyway. All right, let's move on. I'm tired, and I actually need to write something. This also comes from the rap written by Lucas Manfredi later in the month of June. Vox Media union employees ratify new 3-year contract. This is something that they were looking for earlier this summer with the Writers Guild of America East. They've ratified a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement, which is going to include things like wage increases and protections against artificial intelligence, which is ever so important. Vox Media employees include, it's a 250 member bargaining unit. It includes people from Pop Sugar, The Dodo, Thrillist, Vox, The Verge, Eater, Punch, SB Nation, and Vox Media Podcast Network, which I assume also includes people like Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. I was going to say her boy. In the first year of the contract, employees making salaries under $106,000 will receive a 5% increase, while those making over that amount will receive a 4% increase. In 2 and 3 years, those increase in years 2 and 3. Those increases will be 3.25% for salaries under 106% and 2.75% for salaries over that amount. It's interesting to note. This has nothing to do with anything else, but I've applied to countless jobs with Vox, and they've almost instantly denied me. But they're always in the search for several jobs. Additionally, there will be a new salary floor for $70,000 for overtime exempt employees and $68,000 for overtime eligible employees. New salary floor. So that makes it seem like if you are a new employee and you're just a new employee, you get at least $68,000. That seems like that's what that sounds like to me. I don't know what that entirely means. Members at Thrillist and The Dodo will also receive back pay from April 2024 to May 2024, respectively. Good, because I can only assume that Thrillist and The Dodo hires people like me to write for them. I can only assume, and this website is, goddamn, websites suck. The deal also includes protections against the use of digital replicas and ensures that there will be no layoffs solely from the use or implementation of generative AI, and that any material generated by the technology will go through a standard editorial review process. Sure. But see, here it is implicating. Here, it is saying that AI is probably going to be used as a tool. I believe it already is at Vox. Don't quote me. I don't think that's true. I can't click through Vox articles anymore because they now charge for everything. Yep. I can't look at it. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if even at websites like Eater or Thrillist or the Dodo, which are not Vox or The Verge, not that I'm saying that they, are worse. I'm just saying that they're not those. It would make sense that they are using AI as a tool there at those places, and it is good that they are now getting to a point, especially if we're on websites like Yahoo News and USA Today. They use AI summaries, and CNBC, I believe, they use summaries. But it's good that they're able to at least acknowledge it and then try to not get people fired because of it or laid off because of it. And then they will also disclose the use of AI material tools. There will also be advance notice of the actual implementation of any new tool or system that will meaningfully impact employees. Employees can then decline to be credited on content where generative AI is used. All right. Oh, okay. The contract also includes a layoff process that will give union employees 2 weeks of paid non-working notice plus a minimum of 12 weeks of severance. All right. That is good. That's good for especially the world we're in now. 5 years ago, that would not be that good. An unlimited PTO policy with encouragement to take at least 25 days off per year, up from 20 days, and 12 bereavement pregnancy loss days, bereavement/pregnancy loss days, up from 10. That's pretty good. They were going to strike, but then they decided to. But on the vote, the WGAE announced that a tentative agreement had been reached. More than 3,000 WGAE members and labor allies had sent letters to Vox Media CEO Jim Bankoff demanding a fair contract for a union. It's important that we get these writers paid. I mean, when we see people get laid off all the time, or they go to a subscription only thing in the way that Vox and now The Verge does. It's important that these people are seeing returns, especially for the hard work that they're doing. I know at The Verge and other websites like it, they are, squeezing a lemon that's not giving any more juice. There are days where, there are, like today, for instance, there are no big stories. The biggest story, I would say, besides Prime Day, is the new Superman movie embargoes are out, or is up, and people are able to put out their reviews. Besides that, there's nothing that is standing out, and that means that every single website is writing about the same thing. They're finding their own deals for Prime Day. They're releasing their embargo. The embargo's up for Superman, so now they're talking about that. They all get the same press releases because I get those press releases, and I saw it and I went, there's nothing for me to write about there. It's important we let people get paid. And I don't see why we're laying people off, and I also don't see why there is interest in not letting people pursue wonderful different writing projects or video projects. And I'm not saying this because I'm doing that and I see the numbers. I see the lack of clicks on the 7 previous Big Brother things I just wrote about. I'm also saying that because when I go to the New York Times, or when I go to Axios, or when I go to the Atlantic, and I see something that is just so good and no one's talking about it, it makes me. And then you go and see some bullshit about a Real Housewife or BravoCon or just some crap on TikTok. It makes me think. It makes me feel like the real news, the real stuff that's happening, people are disengaging from that because they see, they see Trump, they see this big, beautiful bill's fucking everything up. They see this, they see that, they see death, they see perishment, and people going, I don't want negative things in my life. But hey, we have to have these things. We have to talk about it. We have to write about them. You can't just go and do your mental health cleanse or some crap and then think that everything's going to be okay. And beyond that, read a goddamn article. Go to the New York Times art section, go to the lifestyle section, go to the business section, just click. Read an article. All right. Speaking of New York Times, this comes from New York Times, written by Natalie Rocha. I do want to say this. This is kind of a little aside. Yesterday, I was sitting at the computer and I was writing yesterday's big shitty story, and I took a little break and I went to the New York Times, and then I thought I haven't touched my saved articles in so long, so I just went through my saved articles. The last time I did that, I had roughly like 70 saved articles. This time I had somewhere around 20, which is good. There's a few that are just like food-based. They're New York City food-based, like the best restaurant list of 2023. I don't know why that's there. The 100 best restaurants in New York City from 2023. I don't know why that's there. But you know what? I'm going to keep it. And then there are like a bunch of profiles that I just didn't have time to read at the point when they were written. So I went through all of them. I truly just scanned through all of them and just like, I'm trying to see if I learned any new information, about these people or the restaurants or the food or, the story, just whatever it was. Cause they're not all food or people based. And then there was one Always Sunny story that came out yesterday and it was long. And what the New York Times does now is they either have an AI voice read and they will tell you it's an AI voice. I don't even know if it's an AI voice. It's an AI voice. Or you can have the article read by a specific, like a reader that they hire, which hire me, or by the article writer themselves. Let's see if I'm just reading through an article. Okay. I can't seem to find one that has an AI. Actually, hold on. This one might have an AI thing. Oddly enough, this one, yes, it does. Okay, so they have a learn more section and articles read by an automated voice. You can listen to a majority of their articles as they're published, enhancing accessibility and providing another way to engage with the journalism, which is fine. They say it's an automated voice. That's fine. Whatever. It doesn't take away from the actual writing itself, and they're passing. They're decent. But I listened to the Always Sunny one that was written by a gentleman, and he read it himself. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to try this with one of the automated voices because I don't do that. And you know what? I got to say, automated voice was pretty good. Good job. Good job, New York Times, for whatever they employ. That was a good thing to talk about. Anyway, welcome to your job interview. Your interviewer is an AI. This covers a little profile of a woman named Jennifer Dunn, who landed an interview through a recruiting firm for a vice president of marketing job, where she was looking forward to do the conversation. But lo and behold, a virtual artificial intelligence recruiter named Alex sent her a text message to schedule the interview. Now, Ms. Dunn asked, are they human? The AI said, no, I'm not human, but I'm here to make the interview process smoother. For the next 20 minutes, Ms. Dunn, a marketing professional in San Antonio, answered Alex's questions about her qualifications, even though Alex could not answer most of her questions about the job. Even though Alex had a friendly tone, the conversation, quote, felt hollow, Ms. Dunn said. In the end, she hung up before finishing the interview. This is something that we're seeing, levels of, where they're implementing these AI, scapegoats, these tools that are, don't come after me, AI, but they're implementing these tools, companies are, and it feels as though I'm going to go back scapegoat. It feels like this is a problem because they have no clue what they're talking about, the AI counterparts. And when you have a chance to sit down and interview with somebody, this is more than likely your first opportunity to make an impression if you get that far. Oftentimes, I do not. Job searches have become just blatant, just overdone, overwrought with some type of what they call agentic AI. Agentic. How would you pronounce that? Yes, there's no definition. Is agentic. Some aspects of job searches, such as screening resumes and scheduling meetings, have become increasingly automated over time, but the interview had long seemed to be part of the process that most needed a human touch. Now AI is encroaching upon even that domain, making the often frustrating and ego-bursting task of finding a job even more impersonal. And that's a great way to put it. They feature another person that says it felt very dehumanizing. Yes, it is impersonal. It is dehumanizing because it says we don't even have the time, or nor do we even have the capacity, nor do you even care enough to put somebody in front of you to talk about you. And yeah, I understand that jobs often they're getting hundreds of interviewers, they're getting hundreds of applicants. They only want to talk to a certain amount of applicants. But at some point, we've done this for the past, it's 2025. So I'm going to say 2025 years. Since recorded human history. I bet if you read the Bible, there's a part where Joseph is interviewing Abraham. Someone sitting down and saying, "Oh, Mary Magdalene. Okay, well, you're a virgin. All right, that's good to hear. You know how to ride a donkey." It's just, where we're getting to a point where we're in the job space. We're relying on these things way too much. And you expect us to come in, want to make $30,000, $10 per article, for instance. You expect us to want to go in and make $10 per article, but the idea is that we're still going to pay you less, and we're not going to give a crap until you get to the second part, even the third part. This is a podcast I listened to this morning at 4 a.m. AI is coming for entry-level jobs. This is from the Journal podcast. I believe Jessica Mendoza was the host of that episode. Yes. It was an episode discussing artificial intelligence coming in for entry-level jobs and taking away jobs that recent college graduates would be doing. It follows Zara Anwar, who's 22 years old, just graduated from college, and now she has to basically go back to school and get a better degree because it's hapless applying for these jobs. We're again, these companies think this is the easy way out. Getting an AI tool to take the job of somebody who is fully capable and needing the experience because, hey, guess what? When you apply to jobs at Warner Bros. Discovery, when you apply to jobs at WSB Television, when you apply to jobs at Coca-Cola, Studio Now, you know what you did. 2 interviews and they didn't call me back. When you apply to jobs at Local Now, Weather Channel, Allen Media Group, you know what you did. When you apply to those jobs, they want experience. Now, even I'm somebody it's 2025. I've got 9 years of experience, 9 to 10 years of experience. I've got of those 9 to 10 years, at least 4 of them are high-level producing jobs or mid-level producing jobs, not high-level. Mid-level producing jobs. Guess who can't get a job? Guess who can't even get, a local gym, not my gym, but a local gym to call me back. Oh my goodness. But they want you to exceed their expectations. This is why I don't play the games, because I've played the games, it's not worked. I've not played the games, it's not worked. I've done a mixture of both. The problem is, when does it end? When does it come to a point where we don't have to deal with stuff like this? But now, I mean, quite frankly, this administration does not give a shit. So there's going to be yeah. We're just going to reboot Superman again for the 12th time. But he's building his own world, and Superman's going to say shit. Oh my God, I'm a bitter person. Listen, if you liked what you heard here at the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see a video version of the other podcasts, The Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News Podcast, and Late Night Late, the Late Night Show, Late Night Lately. You can also watch me talk to celebrities under The Interviews. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Instagram at C+Comedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.